Hello there. This is the voice of Squire Callahan Ridgeborn, almost a Battlemaster, always a wizard, and today we are joined for a audio edition of Battlemaster interview. I'm joined by a special guest today, Haj of Polaris. Haj, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Callahan.
Haj, it's weird that we have you coming on from Polaris, but you are a long-established Interkingdom traveler. You're going to Rising Winds events, you're going to Polaris events. Are you going to any other kingdoms as well?
Yeah. So last year I also visited Taldegor a couple of times. I went to the Celestial Kingdom for Gathering of the Kingdoms. Went to Westmarch. Yeah, and then the other ones you mentioned.
Man, that's 5 kingdoms you visited last year. That has got to eat into your gas money.
Oh yeah, probably. Gas is a huge expense.
So you've truly embraced the lifestyle aspect of our lifestyle game and made this a pretty major thing you travel for. You're taking time off of work for everything, but how long have you actually been playing Amtgard?
I started back in August of 2015, right at the start of August, so that's almost 10 years now.
Man, 10 years this year. Where's your home park out of?
My home park is in Rochester, Minnesota. We're called Ethereal Tides.
So tell me about your Battlemaster journey. Were you one of the people that got it retroactively, or did you have to go through the ladder?
A little both, I suppose I could say. I want to touch on Ethereal Tides real quick.
Oh, sure.
Because I think that really that park has been a huge driving factor in my abilities. And I think that we just breed really strong players there because we're a smaller park right now. I believe we recently became a Shire level again. We were a barony, duchy, not a duchy maybe. Anyway, but we have a lot of really long-time players, like veterans, people who are really good at the game, mixed in with people who are brand new. But it's like our core members are the people who are sticking around. We really bring out the strong competitive nature, not in a negative way, but like we have really good fighters and we have really good casters at our park. So the new players who come to our park learn very quickly how to be very good fighters and very good casters because of the support that they have from this dense concentration of veterans supporting them.
Okay.
Me, for example, I'm one of the people who's a caster, right? I'm happy to teach the new players and critique, if they cast something incorrectly, I'm usually one of the first to tell them, like, this is how you cast that spell. We also have very good fighters who are always, happy to help work with people, crafters as well. We have tons of really great support from knights, like knighthood level support for our newbies at our park, which is really, really great. And it's almost always been that way. These people who are knights at our park have been there since before I started, like 10 years ago. And now I'm one of those people who is there to support.
Okay. That's awesome. I'm really glad your park has that support structure set up. So is that like more formal or informal training with people? Like, say a new person shows up and they've been coming out for a couple of weeks. Do they get like soft assigned a buddy that's going to help them, or is it just sort of communal coming together, talking to people all?
Yeah, it's just communal.
More communal.
It's just communal. Try to like if there's a new person, we try to invite them to come eat with us afterwards, and like make sure that they know that they're welcome in our group. We want to hang out with them and we talk with them about how to be successful. Like we have a new player who he's been playing for maybe around 6 months and he decided he wanted to do champion this reign. So we're letting him have the reins on that, absolutely. And we're also coming together to support him and help him make it the best that he can too. We're giving him feedback and support so that he can be successful and have a great time with it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so many of us have done it, like I said, we kind of have a small like core group at our park. So we know what it's like to be champion. A lot of us have done it. So it's not that we wouldn't mind doing it again, but he wanted to do it. So we're going to help him have a great reign as champion.
What a fantastic thing to do. Like, it's so rare for a person to come in at 6 months and say, I want to run for something, and then just have everyone rally around that player and say, you can do it, and you're going to do a great job. We're going to help you with that. That's great. I love that the park has that trust that they will be able to support the new player in being champion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, dude, I feel the same way. That I really appreciate and I love that about Ethereal Tides.
It's just so wholesome. Okay.
So, I sort of diverted from your last question, which was, did I get it retroactively? I didn't get it like right away when the change happened with that, but I got it just a few months later at another Kingdom event.
Okay. So you got your Battlemaster pretty quick after it came out. How many Paragons do you have?
Just a couple weekends ago, I got my 4th caster Paragon, which was Druid. So now I have all the caster Paragons. That is Healer, Wizard, Bard, and Druid. Got them in that order, respectively.
Wow, you got the legendary Archmage then.
Archmage of Polaris, baby.
Everybody look out, here comes Archmage Haj.
Dude, it's been so...
Congratulations, that's such a huge accomplishment.
Thank you so much. I've been working towards this and dreaming of this basically since my first Rakkus is when I knew I was him. Because I've been playing Wizard in my head for probably like a year or two at that point. I was still playing Healer actively, like on the field, but I stepped onto the Phoenix League field at Rakkus, my first Rakkus in Colorado, and was extremely proficient at slinging wizard spells my first time doing it. And I realized, I think I can do this. I think I can do this for all of them. And that was like 2016 or 17. So it's been a dream for a long time.
Man, so yeah, it took you 10 years, but you did it. You got all 4.
Hell yeah.
How long was the wait for some of these? Like, did you get them? You said, when did you get your first Paragon? Let's do that.
So that was Healer. I think that took me about 4 years, and then each one after that has taken about 2.
Okay. So once you got that initial recognition, it was easier to get further after that? Or do you think it was a skill development thing?
Yeah, I think once you kind of understand and you've learned the mechanics of the game, it comes easier to apply that knowledge, to other things. And I think Healer is a great teacher because you have the answer for anything that could possibly happen in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So then you also learn what is the question being asked. Not only do you learn how to solve heat weapon, but in learning how to solve that, you learn what heat weapon is.
Okay, and you learn where it is being used and why.
Yeah. You realize that, like, release works on that and not mend. That's a common misconception. I think they've clarified officially in the rulebook now, too.
Yeah. So you said you got Healer, and then Wizard, and then Bard, and then Druid, right?
Yes.
Which one of those is your favorite?
Healer, by far. I mean, I enjoy Wizard a lot But I always play healer, like in my head.
Okay. Sort of the,
I'm all
the first class, best class thing, right?
I suppose it just it suits me, and I've never gotten away from playing it in my head. Like when I'm evaluating situations and thinking of scenarios, it's often from the perspective of a healer.
Okay.
When I'm practicing my spells, they're often healer spells that I'm practicing. Not that the spells don't, bleed over into other classes, but it's usually from a healer's mindset that I'm swift teleporting, that I'm swift astral interventioning, things like that.
So, with healer being your favorite still, which of the four did you enjoy the least?
Well, I enjoyed them all a lot. So I'm going to frame it a little bit differently.
Sure.
I found Druid to be the most challenging. Yeah, I think that so with all of them, I kind of I have a feeling when I know that I've made it to like the level of a Paragon. And I think for me, Druid took the longest for me to have that feeling. Because for a lot of it, I feel like Druids simply can play as a 2-point armor caster with a polearm.
Right.
And it's fairly easy to be very effective in doing that without doing much else. So I had to break out of that. That was, I think, something that I felt like people were saying like, wow, you're doing really great as Druid. I'm like, I'm just playing with a polearm and I have 2 points of armor. I think that's really all that's happening here.
Okay. So you had to kind of get out of that niche and explore the class some more to really sink your teeth into it.
Yep. It took a lot of playing like suboptimal but creative builds that were really enjoyable. And
sometimes the suboptimal builds are more fun than the optimized ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great way to have variety for different situations. Like maybe you're at a smaller park level and versus a kingdom level where you need to just turn it down. Things like charge to max too, which came as a rules change while I was playing Druid, really, really changed the meta also. Like just things you're able to do. So that helped me feel more powerful.
Do you think that charge to max is a good thing or a bad thing for casting in general? I think it's a good thing, but I also can see that it's going to make some people's lists even more feel same is same than they were previously. What do you think about that?
I'm having a little difficulty thinking about if it's good for casting, because I guess I'm just being pedantic, but I'm not really sure what good for casting is, because I think it's I enjoy it. It makes me stronger. It makes the people who are just starting to play Amtgard, I think it lowers their quality of experience, while the people who are already experienced at Amtgard are able to just keep that person frozen longer and more indefinitely. Like that's what I can do as a druid. Now that I can charge up both my icy blasts and I have an ice ball, I can freeze easily 3 people and keep them frozen perpetually. So I think it's like a richer situation. Do I think it's good for casters? It's good for casters who are good at casting. Do I think it's good for the enjoyment of new players? No. And I think that the latter is more important, because if we're not growing as a game, then we're dying. So I think that our enjoyment for our new players is really important. Now, they could just get better at the game and then have access to that power themselves. That hasn't.
I was kind of looking at it from the other way, of
yeah.
If I'm a new player, if I'm playing, even as an established player, if I switch up and go to a new class, if I started playing Druid, and I could buy Heat Weapon once per life recharge times 3, as a level 1 Druid, I theoretically could buy 5 Heat Weapons. Let's say 3 Heat Weapons and a short sword, and then I could take that and being able to charge back up to full allows you to do more with less.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the problem with the lower levels is feeling less powerful. I mean, you are less powerful, but feeling less powerful because you have less spell points than some of the higher level casters get. Well, all of them get it, but anyone who's 6th level versus someone with 3rd level, they have twice as much magic at their disposal.
Right.
So being able to charge back to full on your hold person or your shove as a lower level caster, that feels like a big thing. And maybe I'm overestimating how many people are actually going to be getting that charge incant, because I really do think that the first hurdle from going from a new player to an established player is that charge incant.
Oh yeah, it's huge and it's ubiquitous across the game.
Every class gets it, and so if you learn, if that's the only thing you learn, that's still a pretty big thing right there. And I'd be looking at since I put a lot of things in terms of award ladders and looking at different things, I do kind of feel like learning the charge incant and being able to reliably charge ×3 is a good way to be that's a 3rd order of battle. First order, give it to them for learning the rules of the game and knowing some of their abilities at level 2, and then that 3rd one, if they've got the charge incant down, that strikes me as a really good reason to give someone that 3rd order of battle and say, hey, we can see that you're becoming a player in your own power. And it feels like the first major milestone is learning that charge incant for every class.
Absolutely. A charge incant, hugely important.
I mean, how many hours did you spend practicing your charge incant?
I practice it almost every day.
It's one of those things that I know a lot of high-level players, and all of them practice the charge incant because they want to have it ready to go. And
yeah, it takes almost no effort or time. It's basically like a verbal stim that I do at this point. Even when I'm just driving, if I'm in the shower, if I'm just walking to my kitchen, throw in a quick out of battle, I pause to rest, it takes some time to catch my breath, turn to me my fleeting power to aim in my darkest hour, right? And you can even just practice one line if you want to. Out of battle, I pause to rest, right? And it just gets that. Because a lot of times with a song or something, the song after they start the first line. Right. It's hard to get that first line going, right? So I practice that first line so often.
And we've talked about this before, getting the mouth feel and cadence of an incantation down is really important, and especially for something like the charge incant, where you're going to be saying it 3, 5, 10 times in a row. Getting the pacing of how you want to do it down is important.
Yep, I think it's also really important to try to fill your get the muscle memory that you fill your lungs before you start the charge incant. At a battle, I pause, right? Yeah. And then going to allow you to hopefully get that charge 3 off in one breath. I can usually get a charge 3 off in one breath, and then a charge 5 off in about a breath and a half. So it's a large gulp in of air. You do the charge 3, then you take a half gulp, and then you quickly do another charge 2 for the 5.
I know what you mean. I have a scheduled deep breath at the 5 point. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit bigger than you, and I've got more lungs, so I can get to 5. But I think
you could. Damn, that is a feat, man, my man.
Yeah, I mean, I came up out in Blackspire, and in Blackspire at our Kingdom level events, you play as the level you are, and you have to sign in as the class you're playing. So I don't know how they're doing it in the current day and age, but when I was leveling up Wizard, I went to Kingdom level events as a level 3 Wizard with my little lightning bolt and my drag below, and I took one look at an 8 and I said, yeah, right, I'm not going to waste my points on that. So I had to get good at charge ×10, and it had to be faster than it took for the enemy to respawn, and it had to be fast enough that I could be relevant on the field. And necessity is the mother of invention. Well, charge times 10 is the mother of deep breaths.
Right. And it's good to practice those breathing exercises when doing your spell or your incant practices, and to be conscious of the different breath sizes that you need to take. Right. It's going to help a lot on the field when you are in action, and you'll probably notice that you're not going to perform as well as you were when you're practicing, because you're at rest, right? You're already probably breathing heavily when you're on the field. So it's fine if you get, only to charge 2 or something on one breath. That's totally normal. But it's important to practice so that you are able to push yourself in those moments.
Right. Well, and then practicing as you play is also helpful. Like, I've been doing a lot with my kids. My boys are 6 and 7, and they love Amtgard. And so just earlier today, we were playing out in the yard, and my elder son, Octavian, is playing Wizard a lot, and my younger son has been leveling Assassin, but today he wanted to try Wizard. And so, since it's always 2v1, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to play Barbarian, and use those rages every time they try to cast a spell at me, because I'm trying to get them ready for Park this summer, and doing those incants, because I know we have a couple of barbarians at our local park that'll do that. And so stopping and recharging times 10 to keep the rages going, and watching them try to figure out if it was a good idea to attack or not. And then you get almost low intensity training if you practice like that. And not everyone has kids that they can play with, but trying to continue charging while successfully blocking shots without moving your feet at any level is very stressful.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge it's like a skill step up too when you're able to do that, because you will notice that you're able to cast an offensive spell to save your ass a few times on the field. Like, there have been multiple times where I have been able to finish my spell before being killed. Having druid armor helps with that a lot too, because you can take a shot or two.
Right.
But it's trying to get the heat weapon off before they swing the stick, or the icy blast, or whatever. And then if you just
block or two as you get that spell off too, because then you can keep your feet firmly planted. You don't have to burn an ambulance. You can stand your ground and potentially face down a much higher armored opponent with just 2 or 3 blocks.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I actually first picked up on this as a healer, and what I would do is I would, what I call turtle up, with a medium shield, and you basically just hide behind it in a kneeling position with one knee touching the ground and 1 foot touching the ground, or one knee down and then 1 knee up, rather, behind your shield, hunkered, sword and shield both gripped in one hand so that you have an open hand, and then you complete your cast. It's very hard to hit you because you are completely behind your shield, and it's basically impossible for you to move your feet. You can't really, you could shuffle, but you're not tempted to in any way.
Okay. I haven't ever tried that. I'll have to give it a try sometime, because that, I feel like I'll look ridiculous, this being 6'2" and huddling down behind my medium shield, but I'll give it a shot.
I feel that's true. I found with Druid that so the advantage of having a polearm as a caster is actually multifaceted. Not only is it simply a great weapon at its surface level, but you can use it as essentially a tripod to stabilize your casting so that you're able to not move your feet in situations where you might otherwise lose your balance. It's even allowed me to peer around angles when someone has tried to run away behind a wall, and I've been able to lean with my polearm pommel onto the ground around an angle to see someone without moving my feet.
That is hysterical. I love that.
Yeah, it's something unique to a long weapon or a polearm. And I mean, I definitely don't recommend putting the tip of your weapon into the ground because you might blow up the tip.
Right.
But if on the pommel, just briefly, was really helpful.
Huh. Something I wanted to ask you about. So, I've been playing Wizard for 5 years now, and I've never done Flow Wizard because Flow Wizard always felt stupid, wasting that many points. But I'm branching off into some of the other casting classes, just messing around with them. And a thing that I keep finding myself doing is I try like playing healer or druid or bard, all of them have access to shields. What can you give me some tips or tricks on getting that open hand without dropping my sword or my shield?
Oh yeah, you just swap your sword into your shield hand, because that hand can wield both of those at the same time, and then you have an open hand. So you're still able to block and absorb shots on the shield, and you're still able to wield the sword using it to block or attack if necessary.
Okay.
But mostly, it would be used to block. So back to the turtle situation, like I was telling before, I used the sword in an upward angle to actually block off the shoulder shot from. If my shield's in my left hand, it would be my right shoulder that the sword is then blocking.
Okay. So it's just about positioning that sword so it's in your hand, in the other hand in the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're actually like incredibly deadly that way as a caster, like because you just always have the open hand. And you're blocking incredibly well.
Okay.
A lot of times as a healer, I will just walk around like that. And also, when you have your shield up in front of your body, it's not easy for your opponent to tell that you have an open hand. Like you obviously want to make that clear when you are doing the casting, but when you're just walking up and you have the shield up and the sword is in that upright position sticking up past your right shoulder, it just looks like it's wielded and your sword is in your hand behind your shield.
It might not be immediately obvious that you're about to cast on him at that point.
Right. But then you reveal that both are in one hand and you've got that ice ball charged and it's coming already.
There we go. Have you ever done anything with a Madu?
I have not. I do not own one.
I was playing with the idea of one because it seems like you could get a lot of mileage out of it, but the breaking to everything that breaks either or seems like a pretty major downside. But we do get mends, so I'm on the fence about it.
It's really expensive for a lot of casters. Like bards can afford it, but it's expensive. Druids, it's very expensive. Like it costs like 6 points for a druid to have that.
Yeah, because you have to buy the shield and the sword.
Yeah, I suppose that's what Ranger's for, but I don't own a Madu, so I don't have much experience with it.
I'd love to find a Madu caster somewhere and pick their brain on it. Because if I was going to make a Madu, that's a pretty big time investment to do that. And I'm just curious.
Well, there's a bard from Taldegor who uses Madu. He's a battle master as well.
Ooh, okay. When we're done, you should drop his name in the chat so I can try to find him.
Yeah, I'll give you his info. He's really good.
Sweet.
But he uses Madu very effectively as a bard. So I think it really probably has the best. Well, you know what? It's really only optional for a druid or a bard, and I think either of those could use it to devastating effect because both have access to armor. Both are very tanky. Like bards can become immune to a lot of effects at will, right. And then they can even give themselves breaking on that Madu to just quickly destroy any armored threats. And then druids also are very tanky. They have the ability to wear ancestral armor,
which
I think
is so strong.
Great. Yeah, I think it would be very, very strong. Punch shields are also great for deflecting spell balls, so you have that advantage to you as well.
What do you think the difference between a like good fighter and a battle master is?
I struggle sometimes to put like lines and definitions to things. Um, but I think that one indication that we have of a master um, is that a master will change the way things are done, and they will innovate new strategies, um, and they will affect those around them because of their effective tactics. So I think that innovation is a really important signifier that someone is a master. If you are, you know, taking new techniques and applying them and being successful with them, I think that's a sign of masterhood. Are you familiar with catch and release?
Like fishing?
No, like like an Amtgard thing. So up in Polaris, we did something we called catch and release for a long time, which is where you uh, ice somebody, you freeze them, and then you and your buddies release them and kill them.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that term for it, but yeah, I've seen that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, just innovating things like that, and like using different spell combos to basically change how people think of things, right? It's like you put a new spin on it.
Okay.
And then I think that's something that kind of goes under the radar. There are more obvious things like just proficiency. I think it's really important that you say all the words of your spells. And I think that like just an average player generally makes a lot of mistakes, but a battle master will make very few.
So, what is your favorite spell?
Discounting meta magic. Otherwise, that was going to be an easy ambulant. Man, that's kind of tough. Of my favorites, of a spell that's in contention to be my favorite, and then with that qualifier you gave me, that one I was thinking of could never be it, right? The one I was thinking of maybe would be Summon Dead as my favorite, but it would never be a spell I'd have unlimited of because you can't follow up anything with it, right? You could maybe strategically place people for other healers, but if I could have unlimited of a spell, it'd probably be Break Concentration. It's just so effective. But I think that Summon Dead has really, really unexplored applications in positioning.
I wish that Summon Dead could be used offensively.
Well,
like, I know you can try to cast it on the enemy team, but they don't have to heed your summon.
Yeah, I mean, totally correct on that. I would say that if you just adjust how you are thinking of what a healer does offensively, then you can use it offensively. So what I would, how I think of using it offensively is I, as a healer, would like to not die against these two people who are trying to kill me. So I am going to summon this person who is dead over to me, and then we will kill them together.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I meant more in the meme of like, hey, I'm going to steal all the dead bodies from your team.
Yeah.
And until they catch me, they have to keep trying to get to me. So I'm going to run away from the dead bodies I summoned.
Dude, when I first read Summon Dead, that's what I thought it did, and I'm like, oh my god, you just body harvest, and they can't do it. But yeah, they may.
I understand why mechanically that's not what the spell does, but wouldn't that just be so much more fun?
Dude, yes, I had another idea with that too. You could put Greater Undead Minion on them, but then after they're in sub, you could just like not pop them up. But don't do this. Anyone who heard this and might think that's funny, like, yeah, it's funny, But for one thing, like Cal mentioned, they don't have to accept the enchantment from you in the first place. They could take a death at any time to remove the enchantment. The only person this takes advantage of is new players. The only person who gets benefit out of taking advantage of these new players would be somebody who has an understanding of the game well enough that they know that this is a loophole. So please don't do this to new people who don't know better, right? If you're someone who does know better and understands this intricacy, don't do that.
At that point, it's borderline bullying, but if you pull it off on somebody who knows better and lets you do it anyway, like, I could see Drazul the Lich King going for it, or there's a couple of people out there that definitely know better, but I feel like would enjoy the shenaniganry of it, but definitely not on competitive fields or anything. And ultimately,
one of the things I do love about
what was that?
One of the things I love about Healer is you do have the ability to play a little like subterfuge. You could, just say you're massacring the enemy team, and you're just like, hey, I'll resurrect you, for funsies. Or maybe it's just your buddy on the other side, and you summon dead that buddy and you resurrect him, and you guys are cool for that game or something like that. Healer gives you those options. I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
Even at Bridge Wars this last year, the Errant Dawn team that I was on, we were against the pickup team, which had some newbies on it. And
oof.
Yeah, we were doing great. Like, our team was holding very well. And we wanted to make sure that these newer players got an experience to enjoy. So we backed off a little bit, and I even offered one of them a heal because I was playing healer at that time. They didn't take it. They were too suspicious of me. I was like, no, trust me. Like, just high five me and I'll give you your arm back. But they were having none of it. Their teammate came and tried to stab me, but I dodged it.
So for anyone who's out of the Rising Winds and doesn't know who Errant Dawn is a fighting company that has, I want to say, at least 2 sword knights and a bunch of battle masters, and they're very, very good, but a lot of them are very friendly as well. So
awesome.
I could see that being a thing for your team. That, and going against a pickup team when you're an organized team is always going to be one of those feel bad scenarios, because if you win against the pickup team, like, oh boy, we beat a bunch of people that had no plan, and they're just a pickup team. And if you lose to the pickup team, you're like, ooh, we lost to the pickup team. Like,
they were awesome. They were awesome, and I hope they had a really great time.
So I'm proud of anybody who shows up at Bridge Wars and tries to be on a pickup team, because that takes some gumption by itself. But,
oh, dude, yeah, like that. I really love that Bridge Wars has the inclusivity that they have pickup teams like that. But I do tell people when I invite them to Bridge Wars, it is a group-themed event, so do come with your friends that you want to play with, right? Because that will be supported, right? And if there's enough of you, you'll be your own group. Otherwise, they do have pickup teams.
Well, and the nice thing about those pickup teams is if you've got, like, because this last year was 12-person teams, and if you show up with 8 people, you can pick up 4 randos and have a team. Or if you show up by yourself, you can find 8 randos and have a team,
Oh, dude. And I would like to mention, do not count out the pickup team, because one year my friend and I went down to Gathering of the Kingdoms, and we formed a pickup team, and we took first place at Goblin Ball.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Heck yeah, dude. It was great. It was me and another battle master from up here. We weren't battle masters back then, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of cool events that happen around at different places. I'd love to get to travel to some of them someday. Is it Polaris, or is it somewhere else that's doing a giant pirate ship event soon?
That is Tal'Dorei Legends.
That's
I believe that's in April. It's a great camping event. Come check it out. They do have a pirate ship. So the site is a paintball site. They have some really cool fields. They have wood trails. They have a car junkyard, and they have a pirate ship. The pirate ship has like a long gag plank to walk up and approach. It also has an entrance from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
there's multiple entrances and ways to attack that.
yeah, yep. But it's had a pretty good turnout for the last couple of years too.
Nice. In just a couple of years, when my kids are a bit older, I'm planning on going to as many of these legendary out of kingdom events as I can possibly get to.
Nice.
Right. So do you look at battle games ahead of time? When the rules are pre-posted, are you reading the rules ahead of time, or are you just showing up and rolling with it?
Yeah, I just show up and kind of go off the top. I don't. Yeah, I'm just lazy, and I don't feel like reading a bunch of stuff. Also, the way I play, it doesn't require me to do that. So I think that there are two types of ways to approach a battle game. You can either analyze the mechanics and the rules of the game itself,
Right.
and figure out the most optimal way to win the game in that way. And some people are really skilled at that. I have the ability to do it, but I don't think I'm great at it. And then the other way to approach the game is just to try to be the biggest monster you can be. And that is the way I've always approached the game. Just try to be a menace, be an absolute monster. And that works well enough. People often ask me how we should do this tactically. And if I can, I just point them to somebody who just does that better than I do. But sometimes I do fall into that role when you recognize that you're needed for that, because you just think you're the one that's best able to do it there in your group. Sometimes I am the one to give directions and to explain to people, this is how you actually win this if you want to. And if we want to win it, we need these people in these roles and yada yada.
Right.
Generally, I just like to go out and try to play the best Amtgard I can. And, it comes with different approaches depending on my class. But when I play Wizard, for example, I like to play sort of like a bounty hunter in my head. I pick a target. This person's my target until they're dead. And then you pick a new target. And this person's your target until they're dead. And and that's how I like to roll as a wizard, at least.
Okay. I don't think I've ever had the joy of getting to see you play Wizard out there.
Oh man, dude, I played Wizard at Park last week just because it's really easy to pick up and just play Wizard. All you need is your mouth and your words, And I did that, and I had just a great time.
Well, Wizard's such a fun class. But
it's really fun to be very just deadly effective.
So what do you do when you play Bard? Because I've seen you play Druid and I've seen you play Healer. I don't think I've seen you play Bard either.
Well, I like to think that I'm rather diverse in my playstyle as Bard. So I'd say I do a little bit of everything, but I guess I'll explain how I think Bard can excel in the different ways. So when you play something like the combat caster Bard, a lot of times people will lean into armor and a medium shield, and then use thongs. So this combination makes you incredibly tanky. You're able to soak arrows easily with your armor. You can mend that armor back up. Arrows are also easily soaked on the shield without damage. You can be protected from stopping effects such as stopped, frozen, insubstantial through Song of Freedom. And this is really helpful for you to tank a front line where they're just trying to ice ball people down.
Right.
You totally have protection from that. Bards also have a good diversity of equipment for their weapons. You can use a short sword or a long sword, so you could be that tank and then still have a long sword and be protecting and being offensive at range. Dervish Bard is so when I felt like I reached that level of Paragon power in Bard, it was when I did a meme list that I thought like, oh yeah, this will be like just kind of silly. I did the all suppression Dervish Bard. You just take all the suppress auras and all the break concentrations and then experience them, and then you buy all the innates. I thought it was a joke. It's no joke. It was probably my max power at Bard because none of the casters ever got to play caster.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that, playing Dervish Bard. Of course, you are limited on your equipment with that, or it's just more expensive rather, so you generally don't take it. And I never used Legend. I've seen someone in the RW play Legend Bard, and it seemed really good, actually. The way they used it was really effective. But I never leaned into Legend.
Legend
I see
the 4 extensions per life, right?
Correct. Well, it doubles your use of extension. So
yes, but if you're going to go to all that trouble, you might as well buy both of them.
Exactly as you said, yes. So yeah, I really appreciate Bard for its tankiness. You're able to resist the effects of other spellcasters very well, while having light armor. So I think that is a really important role that Bard has.
So that's super suppress. I mean, now that BreakCon is per life for Bard, they're going to be able to suppress even harder now.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I've been a little bit tough on the rules, but yeah.
Yeah,
that's insane.
They changed it to be a per life. Personally, there's a Bard out at the Rising Winds right now that seems to be floating around me and specifically suppressing me, and they're, I feel like, going to be more of a problem at this March event than they were at the last event because of that.
Yeah, I don't really like that change. I think that's pretty crazy because Bards have Dervish, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. I was talking to Milk, who's a Paragon Bard, and he was saying that he thinks that BreakCon is going to warp the Bard meta pretty hard now. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think the charge to max, honestly, too, is a huge effect on Bard. It just makes Battery Bard a lot stronger.
Oh, for sure. Song of Power just became so much incredible. Better. Like,
it's crazy.
Like, my own spell list, just playing Wizard, I mean, I always take all 5 of my rechargeables anyway, but now I'm looking at legitimately doubling down on all 5 of my rechargeables and, having 2 of each, just so I always have 1 ready, even if I, and then recharge the one that I used.
Yeah. And so my friends up here, when they were playing Bard, they did a build pretty often. I don't remember what they called it, half something, but you're basically like a half Battery Bard and then a half tank Bard. So you're playing like frontline Bard tank with Song Flipbook, and then 1 or 2 points of armor and then medium shield. But then you also have like Confidence, Song of Power, and things like that on Restoration, so that when you are up on the front line tanking, you can just flip on that Song of Power quick, flip on the or hit him with the Empowers, hit him with the Confidence, things like that.
Okay.
It was really effective to be able to both tank and play the battery support.
for sure. I can see that. You were at June event last year when we had the all day battle gaming.
Oh yeah.
That was when I really like saw Bard shining the most, because we had, I want to say 2 or 3 Bards on our team, and being able to get back all of my per lives over and over and over again in those like 6-hour long battle games was such a huge boost. I really wish we had more of those long form battle games.
Yeah, that's something I really love in the RW, and they've done that in the past, is having like all day games like that or quests like that, where you have to budget your resources, being your spells, throughout the day. It's a really like cool, different way of playing Amtgard. Like, some of my favorite quest memories are from RW quests.
Right? And just, like, hey, we're going to have this battle game go for 4 hours, no refresh. Like, oh. Suddenly Avatar of Nature doesn't look so good anymore, does it?
It's like many have tried to do something like that in Amtgard to make it successful, and I can say that RW has made it very fun every time I've done it.
Well, and the biggest thing with those kinds of games is the minute-to-minute has to matter. And, like, at that last June event that I was just talking about, the big thing was that we didn't know there were a bunch of nodes on the field. For anyone that wasn't there were nodes all over the field, and the nodes would score points, and we didn't know when they would score points. And so it's not like, oh, we're going to have a 4-hour battle game and the only thing that actually matters is the last 30 minutes. It was legitimately at any point, any of those nodes could be scoring. You have no way of knowing when or how often they're going to score. And so it really did feel like it mattered to try to hold all of those nodes as much as possible. Because, and I believe the way that they were running it was each Reeve had a node that they specifically were watching, and they had individual timers that they were watching as to when it would go. So you might have one node score way more frequently than another, but they all were a periodical scoring, and it was impossible to know which node was the most important, and it just led to a really fun environment, I think.
Heck yeah.
I also really liked it because it started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it feels silly, but I'm an early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. And so even at events, I'm going to bed by 11 at the latest, and I'm up by, 7 o'clock. And there's nothing usually to do until like 10 o'clock, and there's no one else up. And it was really fun to have a early battle game with all the other early people that were ready to go.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we've been going for almost an hour here. Haj, you're prolific at all of these events. It's always super fun to get to hang out with you, so thank you for talking with me tonight. Do you have anything you want to tell the listeners at home before I turn you loose?
Just enjoy the game. That's the most important thing.
All right. Well, this has been a kind of open flowing forum. I don't know if it's a forum, if it's only 2 people, but I thought this was kind of fun. So if you thought this was good, put a like on the video so I know to do more things like it. These more open, less formal interview formats. Please give a shout out to Haj if you enjoyed having Haj on the show. Haj, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. Leave constructive criticism if you have it. If you want something different, let us know so that we can get you what you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Can't wait to see you. Have a good one.
You too, buddy. Bye.
Bye-bye.